"Raju, stop it now. Go home, eat your dinner, and sleep." After dinner, Raju went to bed. Eknath returned home and, like every day, dropped a rupee into the piggy bank. He wondered how much had been saved so far. Maybe 100 rupees, perhaps even 200, he thought. Only 800 more to go before he could afford the operation for his eye. But he reminded himself that he wasn't saving for himself. It was for Raju, so he could study and become a doctor who would one day treat his father's eye. Sharda, his wife, told him to heal first. Everything else would follow. Eknath replied that losing sight wasn't like losing a hand or leg. He could still work. He wanted to spend the money on Raju's bright future. Sharda expressed concern, saying their son hated his father. She could understand why Yand was drifting away from him because of his appearance. The next morning, Raju left for school. Sharda told him to wait for his father to drop him off, but Raju left early with his friends to avoid his father. Eknath waited, then went to the school to get his son. When he found Raju, he called out to him. Hearing this, Raju came out, scolded his father for coming to the school, and warned him never to come near the school again, as his presence embarrassed him. Heartbroken, Eknath promised not to come again. Years passed. Raju moved to the town for engineering studies. He shared a rented house with friends. Once Sharda asked him why he didn't stay in a hostel to save money, to which Eknath replied that he prioritized his son's comfort over finances. Later, Eknath and Sharda moved to the town. Eknath's employer provided them accommodation. They were worried about Raju's health and expenses, so they wanted him to live with them. One day, Eknath went to visit Raju. His son invited him in, but when he learned that his father had come, he immediately asked his friends to leave. Later, Raju called his friends back and told them that the man who had come was his watchman, not his father. Eknath, hurt by his son's behavior, decided not to pester him again. One day, Raju came to visit his parents. Sharda welcomed him and asked about his wife and child. Raju mentioned that he had told them not to come to pick him up, as his college was far from their house and the location was inconvenient. When Raju asked about his father, Sharda replied that he was fine. However, she didn't reveal that Eknath had died just a week after she last visited him. She hadn't informed Raju because she didn't have his address. Overwhelmed with grief, Raju regretted his actions and asked his mother to move in with him so he could take care of her. What happened next? One day, Eknath was walking through the market when he bumped into one of Raju's old friends, Suresh. They exchanged pleasantries and caught up on each other's lives. During the conversation, Suresh mentioned that Raju had returned from Mumbai years ago after losing his job. He had since started a small business and was living with his wife and child in the same town. Surprised to learn that his son was back, Eknath decided to pay him a surprise visit. When Eknath reached Raju's house, his daughter opened the door. Upon seeing Eknath, she screamed, "Monster! Monster!" and ran away. Hearing this, Raju came out and shouted at his father for coming there. "How dare you come here? Do you know where this is? This is my house. You are nothing to me. I don't even want to see your face. Get out." Eknath was heartbroken. He tried to explain that he meant no harm, but Raju interrupted him. "I said get out. I don't want to hear anything from you. Leave now." Eknath turned and walked away, crushed by his son's words. That night, Eknath shared everything with his wife. Sharda listened patiently and then said, "I think it's time we stop trying to meet Raju. He doesn't want us in his life. It's best we respect his wishes." Eknath nodded, understanding that she was right. A few days later, Raju visited Suresh. He was surprised to see his friend waiting for him and asked what was wrong. Suresh looked at him for a moment, then said, "You've changed, Raju. Not for the better. You're no longer the kind and respectful person you once were." Raju felt uncomfortable under his friend's gaze and tried to change the subject, but Suresh continued. "You treat your parents poorly and seem unhappy with your life. I can't understand why you left Mumbai. You were doing well there and had a promising career," Raju snapped back, annoyed by his friend's questions. "What do you know about my life? You have no idea what I'm going through," Suresh responded. "It's true I don't know everything, but I know you still have your parents, something many people don't have. I grew up in an orphanage and never had the love of a family. It saddens me that you take your parents for granted. If you're unhappy, maybe it's because you don't appreciate what you have." Raju remained silent, contemplating his friend's words. He realized that he had neglected his parents and pushed them away. He remembered all the times he had yelled at them and wished he could go back and change those moments. Afterward, Raju visited his mother. Sharda was surprised to see her son and warmly welcomed him. She offered him tea and asked about his wife and child. Raju hesitated for a moment, then admitted that he hadn't been treating his parents well and apologized for his behavior. Sharda saw the remorse in her son's eyes and embraced him, assuring him that everything would be all right. She understood that he had made mistakes, but also that he was capable of learning from them. From then on, Raju started visiting his parents regularly. He spent time with them, sharing stories about his life and listening to their advice. He realized that they had made countless sacrifices for him, and he was grateful for their unconditional love and support. Raju continued to grow as a person, becoming more empathetic and appreciative of the blessings in his life. He learned that true happiness came not from material possessions or professional success, but from the love and connections he had with his family and friends. One day, Raju decided to surprise his mother. He took her shopping and bought her new clothes, jewelry, and cosmetics. Sharda was touched by her son's thoughtfulness and appreciated his efforts to make her happy. She knew that the most important thing for Raju was not the expensive gifts, but the fact that he had shown her how much he cared. Raju also began spending more time with his father, who was now blind. He read books to him, played music, and simply enjoyed his company. Even though Eknath couldn't see, he had a deep connection with his son and knew that he loved him dearly. As the years passed, Rayu's relationship with his parents improved significantly. He realized that they were not just his biological family, but his greatest source of strength and inspiration. He became a successful engineer and often credited his parents for instilling in him the values and discipline he needed to succeed. Now let's move on to the next part. One day, Rayu's son, Rayuz, came to visit his grandparents. Upon arriving at his grandfather's house, he noticed a framed photograph on the wall. Rahul pointed at it and asked his grandfather, "Who is this person? Why do you have a picture of a stranger in your house?" Nath smiled and said, "That's a good question, Rahul. The man in the photo is none other than me." Rahul was confused and asked, "But how is that possible?" "Are you a time traveler?" Eknath explained. "When you were just a baby, I sacrificed my eye so that you could see." Rahul couldn't understand what his grandfather meant, so Eknath showed him another picture. In this one, Eknath had two eyes. Rahul was shocked and asked, "So you had an eye before, but now you don't?" Eknath replied, "Yes, I did. I had to give one of my eyes to your father so he could become a doctor and help people." Rahul was amazed by his grandfather's selflessness and asked, "Wow, so that means I have two eyes because of my great-grandfather?" Eknath corrected him and said, "Actually, it was your father who received the eye. He was the one who saved lives as a doctor." Rahul realized his mistake and apologized. Eknath hugged him and said, "It's okay, Rahul. The important thing is that you know the truth now. Your father is a hero.
Ow.
He gave up his eye so you could see the world." Rahul was filled with admiration for his father and vowed to make him proud. From that day on, he studied hard, knowing that his father had made the ultimate sacrifice for him. Also became very grateful for his grandfather's kindness and generosity. Rahul grew up to be a successful young man, always remembering the lessons he learned from his family. He became a doctor, just like his father, and dedicated his life to helping others. Whenever he performed surgery, he thought of his grandfather and the immense sacrifice he had made. Rahul realized that his family's story was truly remarkable and wanted to share it with the world. He wrote a book about his grandfather's heroism and the incredible bond between fathers and sons. The book became a bestseller and inspired people around the globe. The story of Eknath, Raju, and Rahul teaches us about the importance of family, sacrifice, and the power of love. It shows us that the bonds between parents and children are unbreakable, and that the love of a father for his son knows no bounds.